How's everybody doing? Today's video is going to be something that I have seen a very long time ago, and it struck me as something that might be worth discussing on here. Basically, the topic, as you can see by the title, is what I believe may be the worst guitar solo in human history. Don't anybody take this the wrong way. This is not to say that this guitarist is bad. And it is not Buckethead, despite what it looks like in the YouTube title for what I'm watching here. This video is from when Buckethead was with Guns N' Roses, and they played Rock in Rio, which is possibly the biggest music festival in the world. And so it's part of this video. It's not Buckethead who's playing this, so I just want to get that out of the way. So don't anybody come after me. Buckethead is probably the most talented guitarist, and the guy who plays the solo in question here after Buckethead is also a talented guitarist. So, you know, it's been years since I've seen this, but if memory serves correctly, it doesn't make any sense how this guy's solo comes out. And, you know, the other guitarist who plays this solo in question is Fink, who Axl Rose had hired for Guns N' Roses at this time. He's a good guitarist. He played on their tour. He played on Chinese Democracy. He played for Nine Inch Nails. Not a bad guitarist, so it really doesn't make any sense what happens with this solo here. But I do want to play this video in context, because this is how I discovered this back in the day, with Buckethead in the beginning of this clip. Basically, the band is taking a small break, and they're going to do a couple of guitar solos at this Rock in Rio performance, and starting with Buckethead. So we'll see how Buckethead does with his solo to begin with, and then we move on to Robin's. And Buckethead solo is Hog Bitch Stomp. Everybody's into it. Insanely huge crowd. So, I mean, Buckethead here is playing basically hybrid picking bluegrass on a Jackson Flying V, or Jackson V, or whatever they call it, with a trem. And he's not playing it perfectly clean, but he's doing a very good job for the speed of this song. And the crowd is loving it. They're all clapping. I mean, there's got to be millions of people in that crowd. I'm going to look this up at some point here to see the size of the crowd. But absolutely killing this. He's really not hitting any wrong notes. He's just kind of speeding a little bit. Great performance here by Buckethead. Okay, apparently there's 200,000 people in the crowd. It looks like an endless sea of people, so that might be a low estimate, but that's what Google says. Tons of people, though. I mean, 200,000 people would be still a ton to be in one venue at one time. So Buckethead's just wrapped up his performance here. And, I'm running it back a little bit just to give you the context. So we have this amazing, clean, hybrid picking performance here by Buckethead. And we're just going to see, how do you follow this up, really, as far as guitar work? Okay. So you see what I mean about that. Yeah, it's just about as bad as I remember it. It's really perplexing because, this Robin Fink is not a bad guitarist. But I cannot understand what happens here. Even just that lead-in is like almost a couple of notes that are not really it's like the whole thing is off the rails. It's like it wasn't on the rails to begin with. The first two notes are just very far apart from each other. Nothing melodic so far. He's using, obviously, a cadence of, of picking notes that would be natural, but the notes are really not congruent. I don't know how to describe this. Even right there, it's like the intonation is really bad right there. It's like he's bending and he's trying to find something, but it's almost like they gave him a guitar which was completely like 25% out of tune from one string to the next. That's the only thing I can really think of to explain this. There is a video that I saw where a guitarist has actually covered this solo note for note and just called it the Robin Fink ugly guitar solo from Rock in Rio. And that guy would lead you to think that this was an intentional act. And if this was an intentional act, it was mind-boggling. But as far as I can tell so far, it's like it almost sounds like if somebody had just restrung his guitar, maybe backstage, and didn't even make an attempt to tune it, just kind of made the strings kind of tight and didn't tune it at all, and then handed it to him, and then all of a sudden he's trying to play a solo. And maybe that is what happened, because like I said, I mean, he's not a terrible player, as this solo would lead you to think. If this was the only thing you ever heard, you'd be like, what is wrong with this guy? It's totally bizarre. I mean, I just, in the way that he's bending in the double stops here, it's just like really, really grating. I mean, totally dissonant, but not even remotely close. The notes are not even like... Ooh. Like right there. Yeah, there's no way he's remotely in tune. I mean, maybe by the end of it there, he saved it, and then he takes his guitar off and just leaves. And he's, maybe he's pissed. I think I would be. If somebody... That's got to be it. I mean, that has to be that's the only explanation that I can think of for this. But I remember when I saw this video way back when I was young, I watched Buckethead play his bluegrass song that was just crazy good. Probably the crowd at Rock in Rio was not expecting that. And then right after that, you have Robin Fink come out and play that disgusting solo. I mean, sorry to him, because I'm pretty sure that his roadie screwed him on that. I mean, back when I was young and I watched it, I was like, wow, this guy doesn't have a clue what you're supposed to play after you just are following Buckethead. And the band comes in, and they obviously have a key that they're thinking they're playing in. There's a bass line going. But he's not really finding the key until probably the very end of that solo, where he kind of lands the solo. And they don't really show him playing, but I wonder if he's really kind of just confining himself to, a certain string that he knows is roughly more in tune, the way that he lands it, because he does land it roughly in key by the end. But the way that it starts, the way that it goes through, it's almost like he's just fumbling around as if he was deaf or blind or completely unaware of something. But realistically, it's probably that his roadie gave him a guitar that had not been tuned. It literally sounds to me like somebody put strings on, wound the tuners, and then didn't even make any attempt to tune it, and then handed him the guitar, and he has to follow Buckethead playing one of the coolest things that is very technical. It's not necessarily rock, but it's very technical, and then comes out with the most grating, fumbling, shrieking solo with these totally dissonant, out of tune, out of intonation bends and everything, and then he just finally gets sort of near the key at the end, and then he just takes his guitar right off and walks off stage. So I bet that's the explanation for it. But this whole video in context, where you show Buckethead and then Robin Fink right afterwards having the difficulties that I suspect he had with that, because I doubt that anybody would do that on purpose in front of 200,000 people. It just, it's remarkable. So no hate on the guy. I just thought of this as something that was a really, really remarkable guitar video from my youth, and wanted to sort of comment on it if I can. And I hope you guys found that a little bit funny, the way that it transpires, because, God, I love the way that Buckethead plays his thing, and then it just goes straight into that, and it's like, you go from wow, that's really cool, to what the hell just happened? So, anyway, if you guys found that as amusing as I did, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time.